beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today is a requested video. I had asked you guys if you guys wanted to see how I contour, and it kind of turned into the difference between bronzing and contouring. So that's what this video is going to be about. I felt like, there's a million different videos on YouTube with people showing how to highlight and contour. Heck, I've done one with the Anastasia cream contour kit before. But this one, I'm going to try and tell you guys and explain the difference between bronzing your skin and contouring your skin. You can really pick and choose if you want to bronze or contour or do both, like I typically do. Anywho, so if you're interested in seeing my methods, please just continue to watch. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is bronzing, because for me, that is the first thing I do outside of my foundation and powder. On the powder note, if you powder your face after foundation, you will find that this whole process of using bronzer and powder contours is a lot easier because you're putting a barrier between the sticky foundation and your powder. So if you're going straight in with your bronzer, it's going to grab onto that foundation and be a little splotchy. So if you have that issue, start powdering and you might see a difference. There are many different brushes you can use to bronze your skin. My favorites are the Marc Jacobs bronze brush. I use this whenever I don't care necessarily to have a more structured bronze look. Today, this is not what I used, but you can use this guy, and this will just kind of give you an effortless bronze, really easy, really fast, and it's a little bit more natural. You can go in with this brush, which is what I use today. This is a Real Techniques, and I don't know what this brush is called. It came in a little kit, but I like it because it's dense, but a little bit bigger than, say, the MAC contour brush. But this one works really well for bronzer as well. Typically, this is what I use the most out of all the brushes, and you can also use this for contour. So if you want like a 2-in-1, this one is really good. You can also use, just a fluffy powder brush to do it, just whatever works for you. These are just my picks, my choices, and what I like to use, but you do you. With bronzing, what we are doing is making the skin warmer. So we want to give it a little bit of a glow, give it a sun-kissed look. So when you're bronzing, you want to place your bronzer anywhere that the sun would naturally hit. So when I'm doing mine, what I like to do is take this brush by Real Techniques and my bronzer of choice. Today I'm using MAC Give Me Sun, but you guys can use whatever you want. And then I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to start at the top of my ear, and make sure also that you're tapping off the product because you do not want to place too much right off the get-go. It is harder to blend out too much product than it is to start packing more on. So start at the top of your ear and then start buffing in circular motions towards the corner of your mouth and nose. So right here to kind of where your cheeks are. And buff it in circles, and that's going to make sure you don't have any harsh lines, and it goes on very smoothly. I'm also adding a little bit of pressure. Something about that just creates a nice smooth finish for me, and I love it. The first go around, I did not get enough product, so again, I'm adding a little bit more. Like I said before, it's easier to add than it is to try and blend it away. But then I'm going to take that excess product, do not get any more because this is where people end up with the 5 o'clock shadow, and I'm taking it down the sides of my jaw. I don't want you to be able to see this product. So if you see it, you've done too much. I just want to have a very soft glow there. I don't want any lines. I don't want you to be able to tell that I have product down the sides of my jawline. From there, I'm going to pick up some more product and I go right underneath my ear and jawline and downward and start blending that out. I don't like the look of a harsh, you can really see the bronzer on your face and then you have nothing on your neck. Especially for me, because I have short hair, I like to make sure I'm getting it in my ear, behind the ear, and down the neck. If you have longer hair, this might not be as much of an issue, but if you have your hair up in a ponytail, make sure you're doing it. Again, I'm taking the excess product, not picking up any more, and I'm taking this brush down the tops of the sides of my nose. Do not go all the way down because then it's going to make your nose appear larger. I just don't want my nose to get lost in the highlight I've done, so I don't want a bunch of bronze around the perimeter of my face, and then my nose just has nothing there. So that is why I'm putting some down each side of my nose. Again, I'm picking up some more product, and I'm taking my brush and I'm first placing it at the top corner of my forehead and buffing out in circular motions and then bringing it across my hairline. So I'm going all the way across, but blending as I go. And then I like to put a little bit underneath my lip. That kind of creates a little bit of a shadow, but without it being too obvious. Thought I got stuff in my teeth. So you can see how I was super pale, and now I have a nice little bit of a glow to me. So that is bronzing. This is not contouring. Contouring is a shade of gray, basically. It's the natural shadows in your face. So you want to pick something for contouring that is not warm like a bronzer, or else it's going to not look like a contour. So moving on to contour, this is where it gets a little bit more personal because my face shape is probably going to be a little bit different than yours. My face shape is slight inverted triangle, so I'm a little bit wider here and I go downward, but also a little bit oval. So two of those mixed in with one little face here. Doesn't even make sense, but whatever. And your face might be something completely different. Like you might have a circle face, you might have a rectangular face. Basically, the ideal face shape is oval. So when you're contouring, that is what you're trying to achieve. It's not all about just like carving in the cheekbones and that's it. You know, you're trying to create an oval. And if you look at my face, that's kind of what I've done. Everything in the center, it's bright, and I've created shadows so that you can only really see, or what you're concentrating on is an oval on my face. So that's what we want to do with yours. So for an example, if you have an inverted triangle shape, then you are straight, more wide on your forehead, and you come down to more of a pointier chin. In that case, we are going to cut off the sides of your forehead and a little bit on your chin to create that oval. If you have a more round face, you're going to want to bring your contour down and then kind of shade it down a little bit so that we cut off the extra on the circle right around the edges and up top here. Look at your face, go online, look at all the different face shapes. We have circle, we have hearts and ovals and squares. Just go online and figure out what your face shape is before you try and do something else, because this contour that I'm about to do is for my face shape, which is inverted triangle and oval. So I'll quit jabbering and get into this. For my contour, I am using MAC's Taupe Blush. As you can see, compared to the bronzer, this has a gray ashy tone to it, and this is very warm. So this was bronzing my skin, and this is going to contour it. You can use anything you want. The Marc Jacobs contour powder is really nice as well. You know, there's contour palettes everywhere. The Kat Von D has a nice gray tone to it, and I think the Anastasia one does as well. So just grab your favorite and let's get started. I am going to be using the Nars Ita Brush. This one's my favorite to use. However, you can use the 109 by MAC, dip it in, and just make sure that you're placing the product more on the side of the brush and buffing upwards. Never brush down unless you have a round face, which then that's a whole nother video. You just gotta bring it down a little bit and cut off the extra on your jawline. I'm talking so fast that I'm losing my breath here. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taking my brush and I'm starting at the top of my ear towards the corner of my mouth, but I want the majority of my product to be right up here. You don't want your contour to come from here all the way towards the corner of your mouth because it's going to be too harsh, and it can also give you that 5 o'clock shadow that we don't want. We just want it to create a shadow right here to give you a little bit of an indentation in your cheekbones. So I'm taking the product, pushing it in, and then dragging out the extra towards the center of my mouth, and I'm buffing it in and I'm buffing it upwards. I'm not buffing down. I add a little bit of product as I go. Again, the same principle. If you put too much down, it's harder to blend away than it is to just add some more. Again, with the excess of that, I'm taking it and I'm going down the sides of my nose, but as you can see, I'm going towards the brow up here in the socket of my eye. I'm creating a soft contour in the eye area here. Again, I don't want it to be super noticeable, just a slight contour there. Now I want to make my forehead seem a little bit smaller. Again, we're going with, I keep saying again. Oh, we are wanting to make my face look more like an oval. So I'm taking off the two outer edges right here that are a little bit more squared off. So I'm taking the product and I'm putting it right here. I'm not dragging it across the top of my hairline because I don't want my forehead to appear shorter. If you have a further back hairline, feel free to take contour right across because that's going to make it look a little shorter. But for me, I'm just doing that on the outer corners of my forehead. And then I'm going underneath my jawline right here, and I'm buffing that in as well. And then I go back and I take my 187 and buff everything out to make sure that we have no harsh lines, because harsh lines are not cute at all. Point blank, done. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that I again put it underneath my lip. It's all about layering. I've used my bronzer basically as my transition color, if that makes any sense at all. Kind of like we do on our eyes, we have a transition shade so that we don't have a harsh line. That is what my bronzer is doing for me. If you don't want to use bronzer and you just want to contour, then you can use two different shades of contour powders. Let me give you an example. So this is my little palette here. If I wanted to contour and contour alone with no bronzer, I could use two different shades. I would use this one more in the way that I use my bronzer today and use this one as my strictly contour shade. You just don't want to have stark white skin and then a hard contour line. So it's nice to have two different shades so that you can kind of blend them out and have it to be more seamless. Now that I'm done with my bronzing and contour routine, I'm going to pop some blush on. I'm using MAC Gingerly, and then I take and I put my highlight right on top of my cheekbone right here. I know this isn't about a blush and highlight, but I figured I would tell you guys what I do for that as well. And just note, if you want your highlight to be less strong, put it underneath of your blush, so then it won't be as ba-bam in your face. If you want your contour to be a little bit more visible, put it on top of your blush, so kind of reversed. It really just depends on what kind of look you're going for. I hope all this made sense to you guys, all my rambling and not making sense with my words. But if you liked this video, please comment, like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and come back.